Today we are going to be talking about sounds, effect of sound, and the vibrations they create. And to give you the outline of this video, we are going to talk about understanding sound waves, benefit of sound waves, the trauma of sound waves, evidence-based, and links to ancient practices. So, firstly, when we talk about sound, the first most important thing that comes to our mind is the way I talk. So if I'm speaking, the tone of voice becomes important. So if I'm going to talk about, hello, how are you? Are you okay? I'm going to be talking about sound and vibrations. First thing you will think about is maybe this chap doesn't know what he's talking about because he doesn't ooze confidence. By the same token, if I was to say, I'm going to talk about sounds and vibrations, do you know what I'm going to talk about? And in an aggressive tone, you're more likely to say, this chap thinks he's too smart. So I need to use the right tone of voice whenever I'm speaking to anybody, especially when I'm communicating with the rest of the world. Speaking is about communication. So whether I'm talking to my children, whether I'm talking to my spouse, whether I'm talking to my parents, friends, family members, the tone of voice conveys a lot. The other important thing I realized when I was living overseas was in Bharat, we do not have a system of saying thank you for everything. So if I ask my wife for a glass of water, when she gives me a glass of water, I don't say thank you, dhanyavad, bahut khoob, vagera. I just take it, drink it and give it back. And it is understood. Whereas in the West, as soon as something happens, I say, oh, thank you, thanks, darling, etc. But what I realized while I was there was people can say, thanks, thank you very much. For us, it means a lot because the tone of voice makes a difference. But for them, they are so used to the words that the words are more important. And that is when I realized that for us, the tone of voice is very important. So again, to go back to the example of if I ask my wife for a glass of water and I say, oh, Bharti, zara pani de, give me a glass of water. Even if I don't say please, she knows I mean it and she will give me the glass. But if I was to say, can I have water please? Most likely she's going to say, go get it yourself. Because the tone of voice indicates that the attitude of the speaker. And that's when I'm coming to the next part, the attitude of speaker. So my aggressive voice, my non-confident voice, my confident voice, my supportive voice, my cajoling voice is all describing the attitude of the speaker. And the attitude of the speaker also is quite important. Similarly, if people are going to be loud, screaming, ranting, angry in a drunk manner, it is not the most conducive way to communicate. People hate it. People get their hair standing on end. People get nervous. People are fearful. Similarly, you may have the most softest voice and the most pleasant voice, but if you're constantly lecturing to people, or if you're constantly scolding people, or if you're having outbursts at times, that is also not generally very welcome because people after a while think, you talk to Anand and he gives a lecture. You talk to him, he's always scolding you about something. And all of these things above that I have mentioned, the loudness, the tone of voice, the attitude, the screaming, ranting, angry speaking, lecturing, scolding, etc., is not good for the ears of anyone. Doesn't have to be somebody you love, somebody you're close to, or whether it's a spouse, whether it's the children, whether it's siblings, whether it's employees or friends or employer. Everybody will put up with it, but they are not happy. And if they are not happy, the relationship is being strained. Okay. Similarly, fear of anyone. So if people are shouting around you and you're fearful of that voice, then fear is not good for health either, not good for relationships, and the outcomes are always terrible. And the most important thing that today's generation has to realize, today's generation is all computer generation. So in the computer age, they do things and then they don't like it, they delete it. Unfortunately, in real life, there is no delete button. So we need to wake up to the fact that whatever I have said has already happened. I cannot say sorry and take it back. The effect has already transpired. And since the effect of transpired, by saying sorry, you may ease it a little bit. But the fact of the matter is the damage has been done. So it's very important to know when to talk, how much to talk, how to talk, what to talk, etc. Now, another important aspect about communication. When you're talking to anybody, it's always better to talk about their behavior rather than a person. So if I was to say, I hate you because I hate you, that is bad. But if I hate an action of somebody, I hate you because you bribed the person. I don't like you bribing people. That action is what I hate. You might be okay, or you are okay, but I hate that action. It separates the person and the action, and the person is more tolerant to it, or can be tolerant to it. But that's a good way to behave. So you always talk about the behavior rather than the person. Always talk in a cool, calm voice. It helps bring attention and the content is absorbed thoroughly. If I'm going to shout and scream, etc., people may not absorb it. So always talk in cool, calm voice and helps the attention and content absorption. Try to consider the other person's feelings. How would I feel if they speak like that? That is the way you should put yourself, and based on that, if you can relate to other people accordingly, you'll be in the driver's seat. Stop, think, feel before you speak, especially on important issues. Now, when we are talking about sound and its benefits, let us look at some concepts of sound as we know it and as they are practiced. Now, people say chanting Om every day is a good thing, but anything becomes good only if it is done properly. If I am drinking a glass of water and I'm in a mad rush, and while I'm gulping it down, because of the rush, I spill it all over my face, all my clothes, and everything else. It is obviously not the right way to drink water. So similarly, chanting Om, there are different ways, and I'm going to show you a few different ways that people tend to do. People tend to do practice of what we refer to as japa, or repetitive practice. And some people will go Om 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 Om. Others may go Om 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 Om. Now this is my version of it, the correct way to pronounce Om. The correct way to pronounce Om is something like this, and I will describe it in a minute afterwards. So let's first listen to Om as it should be. Take a deep breath. Now that is something how an Omkara should be chanted every day. Now I know this takes too long, but the correct way is one breath, one Om. When you utter the word Om, the O and should be in equal time. So you try to emphasize the O and and as you practice it regularly, if you practice it 10 times, 20 times, 50 times every day, over a few weeks you will find you will get the right frequency that is suitable for your body, and everybody's body may be slightly different. Okay, now based on that slight difference, when you get the right pronunciation of Om, you will find in the latter half when you say there will actually be tingling in the lips, tingling in the mouth, the teeth will chatter, etc. And the whole aim of chanting Om then is to try to get Om to repeat that consistently so that you get that vibrational creation in the mouth. And if you get good at it, it can go from the mouth and expand to the face and expand all over the chest, etc., etc. Now, while I'm talking about the good Om, let me also talk about different ways people might go Om. So some people might go Om. Now we know that's not ideal. I showed you Om. That's quite reasonable. I would say 70, 80, 85%. But if you want to go further up, you can refer to my video on YouTube or under Health Siren on mantras and health. But I'll just express it here briefly. You need to try to do so with your throat wide open. So something like this. Now that is more a very much basal tone. Okay, let's move on to Gayatri Jap. Now Gayatri Jap has been studied a lot in India, across the world, etc. We did our studies a lot more in ancient times. Today we haven't attached a lot of gadgetry and frequency checking, etc. to the japa in India, but overseas people have done it. It has been identified as most powerful by one Dr. Howard Stengrill. He's an American scientist. He collected different mantras, hymns and invocations from all over the world and tested their strength in his physiology laboratory by the means he had at his disposal. According to him, Gayatri mantra produced the highest frequency sound waves. But I'm sorry to say it is not yet confirmed as yet, because some of the readings and stuff that I have tried to corroborate is not available. Now, Gayatri Jap is another jap that is being pronounced differently by different people. So I will show you a few different things. For those who are Hindu and who are used to priests chanting the Gayatri mantra, the tendency they tend to practice is something like this. Om Bhurvasva Om Tatsatavarnam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Dhiyana Prachodayata. Om Bhurvasva Om Tatsatavarnam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Dhiyana Prachodayata. It's like a bullet train. They're just going non-stop. Then Anuradha Paudwal has sung it in a musical way, something like this. Om Bhurvasva Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasva Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Now what we need to remember is Gayatri mantra is a mantra. So when we talk about a mantra, the intonation, the vibration that it creates become very important. And as part of that, we need to then look at how we are going to create those vibrations. Again, I believe one breath, one Gayatri mantra should be the norm. And the intonation should be something like this. Om Bhurvasvaha Om Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimai Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om. One of the authorities on Gayatri Jap, one Swamiji K. Suresh, he recites it in this.
Om Bhurvasvaha Om Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Om Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Om Bhurvasvaha Om तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्.
Now you notice that the intonation was slightly different, but that is basically what we are talking about. Now, what we need to realize is when we talk about sounds, benefits, and mantra chanting, it is through the combination of sound or sound waves of a particular frequency that each mantra has a capability of developing specific spiritual potentialities. Now, I have jumped to spiritual, but it is also at the physical, mental, emotional level as well. Okay. So, now we go on to the next one. Now, there has been some work done by Dr. Masaru Emoto on water and water crystal structure and comparison of water crystals with effects of music, effects of words, etc. And we have talked at length about this in the previous video on water. But I'll just touch here. When he did a comparison of water exposed to heavy metal music and water exposed to Imagine sung by John Lennon, which are two different, complete, diverse range of music. One is classical, soft music, another is heavy metal, which is loud, bang, bang, bang. He noticed that the crystalline structure of the water changed drastically, as if to look at it was muddy water on heavy metal music, all distorted, etc. Whereas in the effect of Imagine on a similar glass of water, it developed a crystalline structure. Now, similarly, he did some experiments with the written word. He put a written word, thank you, put a glass of water on it, put a Tibetan sutra and put a glass of water on it. And then he put the chi of love and put a transparent glass of water. And then when he examined that water after a day or two, he found that a beautiful crystalline structure was present, thus showing that the effect of the word was being transmitted and absorbed by the water molecule and changing it. Similarly, he did an experiment at Fujiwara Dam where he had a group of people go there and conduct some prayers, and he took samples of the water before and after. And surprisingly, the water before was murky and non-crystalline, etc. And after the prayer, the water turned to a crystalline structure. So this is basically again showing the effect of prayer on water. Now, water, energized water has its molecules return to their original life-giving super moisturizing state, which is where that crystalline structure comes in. Vibrations from any source influences water molecules positively or negatively. So whether it is the sound of a jet engine roaring, or whether it is the sound of beautiful classical music, or with the sublime music of the birds chirping and the trees blowing in the wind and that subtle music coming through for rivers, it all has an effect. This permits increased moisture absorption into the cells of your body, pets and plants. So when your water has been energized and it has got that super moisturizing state, the importance of absorption and easier absorption, better qualitative absorption is obviously enhanced. Obviously, if there is a positive effect, will be a major key to healing and the maintenance of health and vitality. If the effect is negative, whether it's music, whether it is your lifestyle, whatever is influencing the vibrations on the water around you, may not be that beneficial, and it actually could do damage as well. So what are the implications of the above studies in relation to water, in relation to understanding mantras, their vibrations coming through, etc.? We know water is an essential component of life and the human body. So in nature and in the human body. We know that prayer, song, spoken or written word influences water molecules. We also know that our body consists of close to 70% water. We also know that emotions influence water molecules. Thus, it influences life, living, moods, abilities, performance, communication, personality, etc. So, the flow and effect of emotions, effect of words, effect of vibrations on the water within our body influences us towards our abilities, enhancing our personality, performance, communication, etc. Dr. Emoto also experimented with cooked rice. He placed 1 cup of cooked rice in 2 airtight jars. The same rice was taken, cooked rice was separated in 2 jars. On one jar, below the jar, he wrote, "I love you," and on the other one, he wrote, "You fool." They were in separate rooms, and every day for 30 days, Dr. Emoto would go into those rooms, and to the one where it was written, "I love you," he would say in beautiful, loving words, "I love you, rice, wonderful." And for the other jar, he would walk into the room and he would get upset and he would say, "You fool, you're useless, you this, you that." And the effect scene is incredible. The one with the "you fool" looks all messed up, rotten to the core, completely gone. The one where he said, "I love you," the influence was much, much slower or non-existent. We need to observe here a similar influence is seen on people, kids, etc., who are abused with foul language, shouting, screaming, emotional torment, abuse, etc. And then we wonder why people change. Okay, this could be a typical household, typical workplace, typical environment you live in. And if that sort of relationship or attitude or spoken word or tone of voice carries on, then it is going to have an effect. So what are the implications now as we see it? Spoken word impacts all around you, whether you like it or not. Sound waves impact the cell structure and functioning. Quiet, simple vibrations have a positive effect. Harsh sounds, music, noise, voice, etc. impacts negatively. Vibrations through sound can influence us, the human body. Some ancient systems that influence life are classical music, rhythm of prayer, and sound frequency of chants or mantras. The importance of temple bell ringing. There's been a lot of research that's been going on. This is not a forum for that, but I can assure you, people say that when you ring the temple bell, it makes certain vibrations which make you feel different. So what is the link to the ancient heritage? Now in ancient heritage, amongst the Hindus, we have a system where we have Chitravati, in addition to grace, which is there in the whole world, which is supposed to calm and clear the mind before eating. Prayer, Sandhya Puja and effects, they have a nice, soothing and positive effect on the body. Dr. Emoto has shown public prayer can influence health. Water purification after prayer around lakes has improved the quality of water. Mantra Shastra and its effects that our ancients talked about is not hocus pocus anymore. There's clear evidence of effect of vibration on water, the human body and the cosmos. So what is the take-home message here? We now know that sounds and vibrations have a very powerful therapeutic effect on body through water and other tissues. Mantras as medicine can be used. Mantras influence water molecules as shown in the Fujiwara experiment. Our heritage understood this aspect eons ago. So we need to respect sound waves at all times. Use sound vibrations to enhance your life within your scope. Water has a very powerful therapeutic effect. Water as medicine is applicable. Water molecules are influenced by words, print, and emotions. Our heritage understood this aspect. Respect water, its heritage, and use what you can to benefit your health. So to sum up now, we have talked about sound, we have talked about vibrations, we have talked about how our spoken word, written word, emotions affect water and in turn affect our bodies, and thus sound and vibrations influence us in much bigger way than we realize. So we have given you that information. Now from your perspective, if you are in a position to listen to classical music every day rather than hard rock, if you are in a position to talk softly, gently and present yourself better rather than rave and rant and lose emotions, if you're in a position to manage your emotions better, you may find overall a much more conducive communicative environment towards your brethren, whether it's family, siblings, mother, father, brothers, employees, employers, the whole works, and life will be much better. And as part of that, consistently doing it, you will be on the path to becoming freer from disease, because you will have evolved and you'll be feeling much better in yourself. What we are going to demonstrate now, just before the ending of this video, is that the power of sound, the effect of vibrations, can move animals as well. Let us see what we have here. The animals in a German zoo were depressed and never left their dens. This happened during the pandemic. Nobody went there anymore, neither children nor adults, and the zoo remained desolate for months. The animals appeared depressed. Then the zoo called this pianist to play for them, and just see what happened and how it transformed the animals. I believe effect of sound and vibrations. Enjoy this video. A bit about me. I practice from Pune. I've got an acupuncture natural therapy clinic. I teach Surya Namaskar. It takes us 8 hours over 8 weeks to teach Surya Namaskar properly. We have 70 plus levels of difficulty. We are in the process of bringing science to naturopathy. I'm a Shivambu practitioner and an expert at it, so I propagate that a lot. We are offering a free internet clinic for the last 4 or 5 years, where people can contact me on email and I try to connect with them and give them advice that can help them in their health. Presently that's going worldwide and a lot of people are benefiting. At least that's what they tell me. And now we are looking at this series on health, where we are propagating freedom from disease, and we are coming to you with different topics every week. We are halfway there and we are getting a good response. And this goes on for another couple of months. So we expect that all of you would like to listen, understand, bring it into your life, bring change to your life, and hopefully head towards becoming freer from disease. On this note, let me say goodbye to you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, and I'll catch up with you next week.
Thank you, Anand Bapat, for your valuable information on health. This series is a 15 to 22 part series on developing oneself into a healthy person. This series will educate, guide, and provide support through our online educational and support services to enhance your health. All queries are welcome on the following email.
Download app Health Siren for all health solutions at your doorstep.